All right, I'm going to call the meeting to order, all right? Roll call, Counselor Marquetti is here, Counselor Steves. Health Inspector Daniel Wazuk.
Present.
Board of Health Member Daniel Grabowski.
Here.
Kevin Buxton.
Here, present.
Steve Gregoire.
Yep.
And Mark, my wife tells me I'm pronouncing your name wrong. It's supposed to be Latoy.
Very smart lady.
She's French. She's 100% French.
Here.
So you're saying his name wrong.
That's Latoy?
Yeah, Latoy. Latoy or Latai.
Okay.
And you spell it like 3 different ways in here.
Kathy Grenier.
I'm here.
All right, consider and approve curbside trash committee minutes of January 12th. I'm sorry, I thought it was sent out. I did make a couple copies if you want to pass it around. Or we can just pass over it, and I can send out the copy to everybody for the next meeting.
It's fine.
I find it either way.
Oh.
The only thing I noticed is that you spelled Mark's name a couple of different ways.
I did, huh? Okay.
Sorry, I'm not offended.
All right, everybody okay with it? All right, okay with it, thank you. Updating curbside collection 2024 website and survey. I see that the website is up and running.
Yes. And as you know about the survey that was included with the problems that were associated, I was made aware from the clerks, the postage issues.
Right. I
So,
looked
but they
in-
were
I
all-
looked into it and they said that it was going between departments to send it out, and I thought that was kind of a bureaucratic snafu there. Just send it out.
Send it on. I guess out of our hands, and we did our part. I
Right,
paid
we
for
did.
it. Yeah, we did. We got it in,
done
and we're ready to
early.
go. And
Yeah.
that was the slowdown.
That was the, yep.
So you mean it wasn't sent out with
Hasn't been sent out
Hasn't
yet.
I
been.
didn't get one.
And in relation to right, residents said it happened due to a problem with
Payment.
postage.
Payment, they haven't paid for postage yet.
Right.
So what I think is happening is that they wait till the end of the month to send everything out at once. But when you're under a deadline, it's probably a good idea to send it out
Yes.
immediately. And I reminded them that we are under a deadline, so.
So this is just coming out as a regular survey, something we had
Survey is gonna go
just
to every
something from the
house.
town of Southbridge?
Yep.
Do we have to wait till the end of the month for this to come out because of the way they do things?
Well, it is the end of the
Well, it
month.
should be.
It
Well,
is.
yeah,
going
yeah,
out.
Oh.
but usually things go out the last working day of the month.
I think we
So
have to
you
do that
can't
open
close the door.
It's not locked, right?
I don't know.
You can't close
But it
it.
has to be open.
We'll have to-
Just leave it open a little bit.
Don't look at me, I think that's a stupid word.
So
Don't look at me.
it's gonna go out. They said that they're sending the money out this week, so probably, hopefully, we'll get it next week. So I was made aware that I asked what's going on with the survey, and they told me it I went from department to department. It's gone here, it's gone there. So what's going on with it? So,
Is there a deadline on it?
well, we have sort of
No,
a.
no, I'm talking about on the survey itself.
No,
Does it
there's
say
no
please
deadline on the
return by?
survey.
No.
But we have sort of a deadline to get something to the town council
Yeah.
in March.
Yeah.
So,
So does
She's
that
not
mean it's,
picking up, so
Oh,
hopefully
that's-
she's,
okay,
On
maybe
your-
she's on her way.
so does that mean that this is not going out with the census?
It is.
It is. It's all been
Oh, the
the
census itself is
package
all-
and
is all
stuff. The
based on-
survey's all in there. They just have to get this postage.
Okay, okay.
You know, like I said, we've done our part. It's paid. We got the bill. It's going to be.
As long as it
We're,
goes
we're
out.
waiting for that. And like you were right, we wanted this to coincide with the website and everything else. We, Anna Smith, you could see she went on TV and
Right.
did a good piece, and it's also on YouTube, on Facebook. So we've completed our end of the bargain, so to speak, and it's just waiting. It's frustrating. I get it.
Is there any way that we could post the entire survey on Facebook and people can print it out themselves? Is that a way to do it? Or you don't want to do it that way?
And you think they're gonna pay to send it back?
well, you don't want to,
No, that's.
Guess what?
my thoughts on that is you wouldn't want to duplicate.
You could do a survey.
That's true. You don't want to do a duplicate.
You don't want double voting.
Double.
Yeah,
Very
yeah,
right.
yeah.
All right.
Plus, you get a lot of people that are not, especially the seniors. A lot of them that are
We
not
just
on
put a lot
Facebook.
into it, pay the
Good
bill.
point.
Right, pay
Yeah,
the
good
darn bill.
point. Right, a lot of people want.
So,
No.
So,
That's the reality.
So the survey's ready to go, we just wait for the postage?
It's on, they, actually, my understanding it was mailed tonight, in tonight's mail.
Really?
Yeah, I checked with Maddie.
How's that?
Yeah.
Okay, so now it's gotta go to
Someone's
Boston, then we'll come back here.
So, yes,
Mail.
I know.
Latest Monday.
Yeah,
keep an eye
so
out.
next month, that'll be accurate.
All right. Okay, thank you. Website is up and
Up and
running.
Yeah, okay, I have I'd like to see if, I did check into it today, after my earlier computer problems, but I was curious to see if we can link that website to both our videos for this meeting, for these meetings, as well as agendas and minutes. So that, it's a one-stop shop for Curbside 2024. You can click on any of the meetings that we had. I might suggest that we take the meeting from 2020 and either give an explanation that this was an initial meeting, and then the 2022 meetings would be, these are our present meetings and these are our future meetings, please attend, and something like that. I just think if it's a one-stop shop, you don't have to go cable access and through that channel, you can get it all from that one site.
All right, it's a good suggestion.
Yeah, that's all.
Okay. Are you all set?
Yeah, for the website, I think.
Okay. I did talk to the IT director, and I did talk to Jim upstairs, and I think they're gonna work on that. It hasn't happened yet, so I think they are gonna work on it, because all the other committees, they have their agendas right on their page.
Yeah, yes, I think that's feasible. I did talk to Victor, maybe out there. Yeah, I had asked him just to stop in and give us an update on that website, more technical aspects. I hope he does arrive. He said he would. But things on that end, very positive and moving forward, so
All right.
that's that piece.
Okay, if there's nothing else, agenda item number 5, review, discuss RFP draft template and scope of service. And I asked town manager, and Anna's here tonight to talk about that. So you have the floor.
So, we have been working with Mr. Scipione, the consultant that we have. He is currently out of the area. He took his first crack at redlining the draft that we have, and we had an email exchange about whether or not to release it. He felt it would be best, we're gonna try and reconvene next Monday when he's back on a Zoom, merge all of our changes, and then after that, that would be a good point in time when we could let other people see it. So he thought it would be best if we, the three of us, got all of our changes on board together and then have a draft that people could take a look at.
Okay.
So we're still working on it actively.
Did you want to add something, Anna?
No, Mr. McCall and I have been in conversation about that.
All right.
Yeah. But what I could add, I guess, that we included the items that had been discussed previously as far as the things that we would maintain from the current contract and things that we would let go. So that's kind of the framework that we did, just to let you know what's in there.
Oh, go ahead, Councilor.
Are either of you seeing any particular issues that, that we really should be addressing going forward as far as this contract goes?
When you say issues,
As in things you can kind of maybe predict that will change, that we really need to, that we'll need, as a council, we'll need to really consider. Or maybe we aren't.
Rocks in the road scenario?
Among other things, yes, like the fact, like, obviously there's so many things that we are not really dealing with because we don't have to pay anything for it.
Well, as our
That's a big
DPW
one, but.
candidate talked about the changing market for recyclables.
Right, exactly.
That's something
That was
that we
interesting.
want to put in there so that we're making sure that we're getting our portion share of any revenue that's generated off of that. As the markets fluctuate, you don't want to build in a static number. You want to you build it off. There's several, I guess, guides, for lack of better terms, where they publish the regular rates, just like when we look at the consumer price index. There's indices that talk about the value of certain recyclable materials, so we would tie things to that. So And then we also want to ensure that we cover the appropriate CMR, so if there's changes down the road, like they ban mattresses, if there's any future changes, amendments, that's already incorporated in, so we don't have to negotiate that after the fact, that it's automatically built in.
Right.
So these are things we're looking at, making sure, trying to think ahead. And as it was mentioned earlier with the DPW candidate, it's uncharted waters. A lot of people are going to single stream. We've even talked, I think when we talked to Casella, they came in to make a pitch. They have their own MRF where they can separate. They have their own landfills. The tipping, we wanted to try and look at seeing if we could split our tipping fees out of the contract. We did that in a separate community, but right now, because of the lack of landfills and the capacity of the burn facilities, we may not be able to get in, as I think I alluded to in the previous contract. So we may have to go with a larger organization who may give us a better deal because they own their own facilities, either out of state or they have some space or capacity left here. So those, it's all things you're trying to really predict what's going to happen in the industry and build it into your contract now.
Right. Have you seen it during the course of this process? Have you seen anything looking into what we might, as a community, have to do, assuming they don't? Because there's no talk about it creating any new landfills, and eventually the ones that exist obviously are going to close. What do we do then?
So, as I said, like Casella, for instance, owns their own landfills. I think in New York. And they have one still in New Hampshire, and so they take our trash to their facility. I think it's in Oxford.
Yeah, Oxford and Auburn.
In Auburn, and they separate. So in some instances, you'll hear a single stream, and then they sort out what they can, so that they can make some money off of it. But a lot of it, I guess, goes out by rail to the Midwest as well. So we just have much more stringent laws about what we're doing with landfill and burning here than other states. So.
Okay, I'm figuring that those kinds of issues are still going to become issues for those other states as well down the pike. They have to. I mean, so that's why I'm saying is we need to figure out what we're going to do, assuming that they get stricter in other states as well.
Well, I think you see that move here in the Commonwealth when they're banning the mattresses. I think eventually you're going to see a move to separate compostable materials, food materials. You're starting to see people trying to incentivize people to take out textiles and things. They serve no purpose going in a landfill or being burned when they can be. We actually had somebody come in looking maybe to locate here up around the airport to do create pet food out of food waste. So I think there are other industries going to be born out of the fact that we're going to face these challenges, that we can't just toss this stuff for curbside trash. That'll spawn new industries to look at how to handle that. So, but that's why we said we would want to put in something that any changes to the CMR that regulate what can and can't go into our municipal solid waste be incorporated now, so if there's future changes, they have to take care of them.
All right, thank you. Ms. Lawson, I'm gonna let somebody else talk. Go ahead. Kevin?
To Mr. Manager and Anna, the RFP will need to go to the council for approval, then you send out for bids. What would be your guess for the return bids?
So it really doesn't, it shouldn't have to go to the council. RFPs never have. I'm the chief procurement officer.
Okay.
I mean, we would probably share it with you people, but we had worked out a timeline. I have it upstairs, but the thought process with Mr. Scipione was that we were going to try and get it out, I think, towards the end of February, so we could get returns in March and start trying to pick somebody, or at least start negotiating with them, so we would have some numbers in the event we had to put it on the ballot. Because we have to, council would have to vote, I think, by the last meeting in April to satisfy the 35-day requirement for the June election. So Mr. Scipione, working with that timeline, he wants to make sure that this goes forward in such a way that we could have some solid numbers by the end of March, beginning of April, to share with the committee and the council.
As a follow-up question, do we have accurate ballpark figure for what we would have to look at for a finance mechanism? Or do we have to wait for these bids to come back to get, to know the amount of money we have to generate to pay for curbside pickup?
About this time last year, Ms. Smith and Mr. Pelletier had put together a ballpark estimate that was about $1.8 million for curbside. I also looked at some contracts and did an inflation adjustment, and that would put us right in that same ballpark. By going through this exercise with the RP, we would just get tighter numbers, but we're also asking them to predict the costs a year from now. That's really what it's going to get us. It's a tighter set of numbers, ones that we could actually put on a ballot question if we needed to. So I think we've always had an idea that curbside could cost somewhere in the order of $1.8 million plus or minus.
Well, yeah, it seems hard to work on the finance mechanism without having, I think 1.8 is a good conservative number, but the committee, I think, needs to consider, like you said, our timeline. Can we send the council what our recommendation is for the finance mechanism, basically the enterprise fund versus taxes, which will take us off the pressure for the getting it on the ballot. The enterprise fund wouldn't require a ballot question. So that would save us from having to wait for the June election. And I just think it's a situation, if we're going an enterprise fund that can only be used for curbside, then if we say 2.5, that additional money is going to be there for curbside pickup. If we pick up the curbside for $2 million, we now have $5 million to start the following year. And I think we've talked, the enterprise fund is very beneficial.
I think that what Mr. Buxton is saying, and I agree, if this committee is going to say, this is how we want to do this, how we want to finance it, because that's really what we're talking about here. How are we going to fund this? Are we going to do it through taxes? Are we going to do it through an enterprise fund? Are we going to include bags? That's what we're talking about. I'll let you talk. Hold on. So what, I think it is important for us to know what the RFP is. What proposals are you getting? So, and since the council chair has asked us to have something ready for them in March, to wait till the end of February is going to really put us under the gun here. But we'll do it. I think we'll be able to do it. Irene, did you want to talk?
And I apologize, I was late. It's always a little further from Townsend and the roads and traffic through Worcester. I just want to clarify, enterprise fund is an accounting mechanism. It is, so it's not taxes enterprise fund or either or. It is enterprise fund versus general fund. Those are those two distinctions. So
Okay, I got
an
you.
enterprise fund, I agree with it. It keeps everything nice and tidy, and it also says this is the money coming in, this is the money going out, this is the departments that are using the money. It just makes it neater versus the department with everything coming through it.
So how would we determine how much we're going to need in the enterprise fund if we don't know what?
Well, you have to have something. We have the estimate of going up from 1.8 to 2 million.
All right.
You kind of have that. You can make it a little more, but it's just how much you're going to charge people. So if it's a flat fee, like we discussed before, is how you're going to break up the flat fee.
Exactly.
I did want to share some other numbers.
We
but
will.
you can
We'll
go.
get to you on
Yep.
there on the next
I know.
agenda.
Sorry, it's late.
Are you all set, Kevin?
Yes, and I used the wrong term. It should be, we're looking, or I assume the committee's looking at a service fee on the water and sewer bill. So that's why I mentioned that we wouldn't need to wait for the voters.
All right. Anybody else have anything? Are you? Oh, sorry. You all set? No. Okay. Anything else? No. All right. Thank you. Looking forward to your RFP. Scope of service. I did print this out. This is Exhibit H from the current curbside collection, just to see exactly what we have for scope of service. And I was amazed by the scope of service. I was actually surprised by some of the things that we have. 6 families. It's up to 6 families. I know there was some people talking about cutting that down to 3. I don't see any condos in the scope of service. I've never seen any condos that I see around this town, they all have dumpsters. But yet, it's not even mentioned in here, so I don't know.
I can address that.
All right.
So a condo would be allowed to be in the program if there are 6 or fewer units.
Oh, I see.
So we have some condos in town that are 2 units,
Oh,
3 units.
Okay,
Those are eligible to be on
all right,
the curbside program as it stands now.
all right.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right, if there's nothing else, agenda item number 6, continue training with Irene Congdon, Mass DEP Regional Recycling Coordinator. Irene, if you want to come up here?
Yeah. One thing I was just curious, and I'm sorry I was late, did you guys talk about the financing, like, to do the billing through the,
We haven't touched anything like that.
okay.
We don't have that.
Okay, I was just like, because that's key on how we're doing that, if we can get that through the
You're talking-
utility billing, we have to contact somebody to get that number if we're doing it in-house or at a house.
So I didn't put it on the agenda.
Okay.
I did send you an email asking you what.
Yeah, no, I'm
what
just saying,
you
we
wanted
talked
on
about
the
that
agenda.
last time with the town administrator of those options with the town, with the finance.
Okay, well,
So it's just to be,
that's my mistake then.
no.
I should have followed up on the agenda, I did not.
No, that's okay. I'm just saying is just, what's that next step is we need to know that number of if the town goes out to a private company to do the billing and see if, what that cost would be, or adding another person is, and where that's gonna be housed. I mean, somebody was saying, well, maybe,
On that subject, Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
there was a comment made at the last meeting about we worry about grant money. But as far as the initial development of the system, what was mentioned was the assessor's office is gonna need some additional personnel. As far as using grant money for the initial setup of the assessors, what work needs to be done in the assessor's office, and as far as getting it put on the water and sewer bill, and what Ms. Heinroy's might have to do to develop it, that's a good area for the grant money to come in, because that's going to be the initial startup fees, and it'll avoid having to take those initial startup fees out of the enterprise fund early on. Because another reason why if we can start this service fee in the enterprise fund sooner as opposed to later, we're going to have funds available to, because we're gonna have to start with the assessor's office. We need to get on board with getting all the necessary work done in the assessor's office, getting the billing properly through water and sewer.
Logistics.
Yeah.
Well, the
exactly.
logistics,
Yeah.
The logistics.
may I add?
Go ahead, Daniel.
I think, in relevant discussion, what we had pertaining to the subject, I would say that it would be advantageous to utilize a company, a company that you suggested to do this type of work. I think it would have a complete adverse effect on the assessors, and I don't believe it would be advantageous at all to take that route at this point, what I've discovered and researched. That's my input.
Rachel's here.
And please, Rachel, if you want to add.
You want to speak to this?
Yeah, no, we, even with additional staffing, this is just not something that is even closely related to assessing. We're already stressed and overwhelmed with water sewer billing being in our department. They're just too disconnected. It's like literally putting DPW with the town manager's department. They're just, it is not, they're not even apples to apples.
Well, it may be something that we would have to take a look at.
Yeah.
And
General
So I agree,
suggestion,
either a building department being created or
or,
outside.
yeah,
Yep.
Would,
correct.
it can't, even with additional staffing.
Hold on, Kevin.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Are you all set, Rachel?
Mhm.
You're set, all right, Kevin.
I was referring to the work, Steve mentioned that the breakdown he had of the multifamilies only went so far, and
That's
that,
a different issue.
When I was trying to figure out
Have you
a
seen this?
template for a budget that might work, some of the breakdowns on the larger units, Some of the numbers you had originally given me,
Yeah.
I didn't, wasn't super clear what I was looking for,
Because
but
the codes, once you
Yeah.
get to the bigger ones, it's like a range.
we'd have to find out when it's above a 3 unit, does that mean it's a 4, or is it a 6, or is it, you know what I mean, that granular kind of data.
It's the 4+.
Yeah.
Where my code, literally, I have to go in and look at.
And that may be something that you guys have in your department, is the actual units per parcel data that might have come from the old
Perhaps.
work, maybe, but if not, someone's gonna have to get that data. So we know.
Understood.
Because you know how many carts are in each property.
Sure,
Hold on.
yeah.
Right.
Sorry.
You all set?
Yeah.
Okay. Does somebody else have their hand up back here?
Put the town administrator.
Town manager, did you have something that you wanted to say?
I did have my hand up when Rachel was commenting. I mean, one thing that she and I talked about last week, I was hoping to put together a memo before I leave, and even for the interim, is some places that I think staffing needs to be addressed. We've talked about a couple of DPW positions like the MS4,
Yeah.
facilities manager, but I've talked to Rachel about how to make the assessor's office much more efficient. You know, she's seen some things in her time there. If we're going to try and take on any more billing, we really need to separate it out, because it does take away from what her office does. It really should be for assessing other communities. The billing is done elsewhere. Either, you know, we had a separate water and sewer. We had our own sewer division in the last town I was in. They did their own billing. We had independent water districts. They did their billing. So here we have 2 contractors, but the town hall does it, and it might be something that works in conjunction with the treasurer collector. Maybe there's a person that sits under there that does billing, and then, you know, if we go with the model where we're gonna do a fee or something, that gets tied in. So I think it really hinges on what direction the committee wants to go, and then we look at the budget. How can we afford that person? Maybe part of it's paid out of the fees, and we slide that function out of that office, tie it more where we do bring all the money in, and add another person in there. So
All right,
she and I have had this discussion I've started having with HR and some others, so.
okay.
Okay. Do you have any idea at this point what that would be likely to cost?
We haven't, I mean, you're looking at putting in another person, whether it would be full-time, part-time, and if you're gonna pay for a part of it out of the enterprise fund, you know, I'll have to get some numbers for you on
Right.
what it would cost out of the general fund to support the water and sewer, and some of that can be funded by the water and sewer fees that we collect as well already.
Would you see any need to have this billing person? I'm thinking this person would be logically more than just, obviously just this project, but I'm thinking maybe water, sewer, trash. Can you see them doing anything else?
Well, I'm sure we could have them, we have people that wear multiple hats in there. They're hearing officers. We do a variety of different collections work. We do billing for the airport in there as well, which the airport commission, Mr. Krabowski's on that. They've been talking about trying to pay the collector's office to do some of the billing for the people that rent hangar space and other things. So there's a lot of little
Yeah.
billing things that we do, and now where we work with the RMV and we lease the diner, somebody's got to be policing all these people
Yeah.
on the leases that we have. So, you know, this person might be one that can kind of bring that all into one realm and oversee
Parking
it. Parking tickets. So there's a lot of little things that we could probably group together, keep this person busy, and centralize.
All right, thank you. I think Mr. Gregoire, I'm gonna go with him first, and then Mr. Dupuy.
Yeah, I mean, everybody knows, I've mentioned it several times. My position kind of leads me into knowing how little bandwidth Rachel's department has.
Yeah, sure.
Another thing we need to keep in mind is in the coming years, hopefully not that many years, when MS4 hits, that's also going to be another enterprise account
Oh, yeah.
that will be built out. So I know it's a big lift, but if this committee recommends, hey, we need to look at billing as a whole, then maybe it's something we work with the town manager's office and the HR office to say, hey, it's time for the Southbridge to restructure a little bit as part of, it might be just time to take that leap
Probably.
into a billing department, maybe.
All right.
It's a big step, and there's another big step coming with MS4.
That's true. Absolutely.
Mark, did you want to say something?
Yeah, well, I guess my question is if we remove billing from the assessor's office, can we remove staff from the assessor's office then? So that there's more than one person in billing if we're gonna move billing to something else.
Yeah.
Well, that's what the
Yeah.
town manager mentioned, that maybe
We
we
would be
could
pulling,
transfer
we would
one
be pulling
person
a
out.
large part out of the assessor's office. So that would reduce your workload. So if you have, I mean, Will Canoyer did it for years. I'm not saying it was right, I'm not saying it was wrong, I'm just saying it got done. And if it's wrong, then maybe I'm upset because I do live in town and, you know. So be careful how we answer that.
True, very true.
So town manager, did you want to speak to that, or you know, some?
Well, you know, from what I see, there's to your point, it's difficult to answer, but I think Will really had his hands full at the end, because he was the IT director. And we now have someone who's here full time, and he's already up to his eyeballs in issues running around. And we haven't even touched half of the things he and I think we need to address. So there might have been a lot of backlog and different things. Water and sewer takes away, I know, from one of the assistant assessor's duties. I'm sure there's more that could get done if Rachel had the capacity to utilize that person to do a lot of the assessing duties. My last town, they had multiple, assessing, people in the assessing department, larger than what we have. So it's really Rachel and Jasmine that are doing the bulk of the work, because behind the scenes being tied up with a lot of the water and sewer billing. I know he had it all, but that doesn't mean we were getting to everything, you know.
Yeah.
When you have to prioritize, and he was wearing multiple hats, and that's something we, if we can get people to do it, maybe we can do it better, more efficiently. But when you're doing that many things at the same time, you're bound to not be able to do everything you need to do.
Yeah, I just feel like we're gonna get one person for billing. That person's gonna throw their hands up and say, I'm overwhelmed. I'm gonna hire another person for
Yeah,
billing.
probably.
And then it's gonna be
The
this
whole
snowball
department.
effect
Yeah.
that just travels through here.
Hold on.
But I would be in favor of keeping billing in-house.
Yeah,
If we already do some billing, let's not parse some out to an outside vendor.
Okay,
If we're billing, let's bill.
all right.
Or
Irene,
personnel.
I think Irene wanted to
personnel.
speak.
Which is better.
I'm gonna let Irene.
I think it's a good subject to go to general government,
It
really.
probably is, yeah.
And take it off our plate.
All right. Irene, did you want to?
I just wanted to share, is like when you're doing a flat fee, not only is it the billing process of getting the bill out, but the collection part of it. And so I think if you have like a utility bill, makes it a little more palatable. It's lined up. If I'm paying $100 for this, and then I'm paying like $30 or $60 for this, it's not as bad. And you also say, hey, water and sewer has to be paid. I have to pay the trash bill. So it's kind of all in one. You can kind of space it out if you want. Timing of I have some communities that do it monthly, quarterly, twice a year. You can figure out the break it. But I think if you have that type of, you have the leverage to say get paid, versus you have the bill goes out, but where's the money being collected, and who's going to be watching that? So definitely.
Okay.
That's a huge aspect, and I think it has to be done right away. I mean, that's kind of the thing, is if you're going with a flat fee, you need to figure out this billing situation.
Well, we're still waiting on the surveys.
I mean, I can give you, I went over numbers a little last time. I have some
Okay.
better ones. Can
Yeah.
I show you a map?
I've got to,
Irene, you got
I've
the
got to
floor.
update my numbers too.
Okay, I wanted to show you guys a map.
Put it
This,
right up there.
because then everybody else can't see it. I'll do it this way. So you guys are over here in the orange. I'm not gonna be able to see it. You're right here in orange, and you do pretty good actually this year. Anna just gave me the numbers. You guys are now in the yellow, which I think is great. So I say that's all Anna's work of going out there and constantly education from your department, doing things. So even though, I've been pushing for a pay-as-you-throw program, you guys are actually, the residents are doing a really good job. And when you take out the bulky fee, so bulky is included in this, and included in this other number, you're at 49, so 1,496. You're right there. But if you take out your bulky, that's another 300 pounds per household. This is a per household number.
So we're in the green.
Yeah, so you'd be pretty good. No, if you're down to 300, what did I
It's
get?
close.
13, you're still in there. No
close.
matter if you take your bulky out, you're still in this, but 1,200 is pretty good. So I just wanted to say you guys are doing a good job, and I think it's good to get out to the public of like, hey, we're doing good. you have the trash program, you have the recycling program. The big thing is how to fund it, and that is why I kind of was sharing, I kind of did want to, I know, you guys pushed me down yet last time, and I just wanted to kind of just show it one more time, because now I had a little more time to play with the numbers. I'm just going to say it, and then you guys say no, and that's fine. I just need to say that I gave you a little more thing. Is if you went to a program, and this is kind of, we don't have the RDP number, the RFP numbers, but I think these are pretty
Realistic.
likely. You know, what would be, would come up, it's those kinds of numbers. If solid waste was 1.3 million, disposal would, if you did, I want to just go with, if you did a 20% reduction, we could go down a little more. You'd be at close to 300,000 in disposal costs. You would have a recycling cost, because there is that, it would fluctuate. So I put a high number of $100,000 in there. It's just that. Recycling education, you definitely need to have a couple people being salaried. So there's going to be a position, I'm hoping at least $60,000 for a person. Outreach, sometimes we always forget about that. We still need to do mailings out to people. It needs to get out there. So that's at least $1 per household, so it's $6,000. If you went to a bag program, I know it always comes up of saying, well, you have to pay for the bag, you have to pay for it. That actually does, the billing process is that it is actually buying the bag and the administration of that. It does come for the entire town. Think of everybody buys their currently black bags all the time. If you calculated everybody's bags, this would be $250,000 to pay as a new cost, but you would get, because everybody would pay $2, you'd get $1 million. So that's kind of like the billing process. $250 you spend for the item it's in, plus the administration of it, and you'd get $1 million back. So that is, I did add in there tax to see if we could add in the tax fee in there of it being under the levy, that you wouldn't have to add in a new thing if $400,000 was able to go to help administer the program. If there was a small flat fee, what did I put in here? I think I put, oh, my back is not in here. I think I did $100. $100 flat fee. The resident would only pay $100 a year. So it would just come out to $100. But I know that is the bag program that is with, it's a flat fee paying a little, it's the taxes paying a little, and it's the resident paying a little. So those three options, the resident at the end, out of pocket, there's coming out of the taxes, they'd probably come out to $204. $100 would be a flat fee, and $100 per bag, depending on what they use. I know, that's, say that one more, yeah.
I have to go through the chair.
Go ahead.
What price are you putting on the bags at that?
$2.
$2.
That's
What
half a
size
million
bag?
bags.
What?
What size bag?
33 gallon. So everybody,
It's
you
a
have,
big bag.
so,
That
We're
is a
gonna
big
sell
bag.
half a
I
million
use
bags?
13-gallon bags, and I usually use 3 of them per week.
yeah, so those are just,
One a week.
3 of them.
that's why you go,
Very
that's why you would pay for what you use. So if a person that puts out 3 bags would pay for 3 bags, a person that puts out 1 bag would only pay 1 bag.
I know, but I only
So-
put out 13, they're only 13-gallon bags, and I put out 3 of them.
So then that would just be
30-gallon
133.
bag, I don't even know if that would fit in the bin.
You need a bigger kitchen, Mike.
No, what you would do is you'd have that on the outside, you can put the other bags in.
That's how I would still be buying bags.
You could, or you just put that bag in and just.
Okay. All
You
right.
won't
So
have that
this,
much
I just wanted to show you that idea. You knocked that out on me before, but I just wanted to show you that idea. The other one is like what we were talking about, is the flat fee, but with a little taxes. So if you did, and I know he has it here, and we're going to go through that, but one thing I've just never seen, because I find it very interesting to
Well,
break it down this way.
Those numbers are,
A little
I
off.
found a mistake in my
Okay.
calculations, so.
I just wanted to, it's normally the other way, you normally, I just have not seen it metered that way. So, because you're a water person, you meter things, so I just haven't seen that in
Maybe I'll
flat
bring you to
fee
my
kind
side.
of programs. Yeah, and it's kind of interesting. But I just wanted to show you what a flat fee kind of would look like. is if things don't change, you stay at the same tonnage level, you stay at the same things, and these numbers are about the same, and we come up to the $1.8 million in the cost. And if taxes were allowed not to raise taxes, not to put anything on adding taxes, just like what we currently have in the bank, if $300,000 was able to be moved over to for taxes into the enterprise fund, and then you have everybody pay $250 per household. So if you're one household, then you would be able to do that. You can do it quarterly and be $63 a quarter, and just be like, okay, that is the program. If you go up further, it's just going to be harder. It's nice to have a little bit in there for taxes, just so if you hit too much, residents are funny, and then people just can't pay, and they're just going to leave stuff on the side of the waste, and you're still going to have to pick it up.
What do you think they're gonna do with a $2 bag?
Yep. Well, that's why I said I knew I was giving you that number, but you already knocked that down last time. So I wanted to give you what the other option would be is, and if you could move over tax money that's not, you know, going over 2.5 override, and just moving over $300,000, and then having the $250 for a flat fee, and you can space that out if that's going to be quarterly, monthly, whatever. So that's just an idea of what the numbers kind of came out to be, and I just wanted to share those.
I'm gonna go with Mark the time first.
So, say in a year that we had a 2.5 override, and then we had a shortfall, where's the money come from? Because you can't go back into the tax pot anymore, right? Because you're already maxed out. So say the fire department is gonna come up, and you're gonna be tapped out. In that same year, you have a shortfall. Where's the money come from?
Okay,
I can show you 1,000 text messages from Middleborough that say it came out of the bag. The bag went up
Probably did.
immediately. The bag went up,
well,
and everybody. That's because that's where it came from.
well, that's the thing that we're gonna have to decide, where's it gonna come from, where's the funds gonna come from. So no matter where it comes from, we're gonna have to pay, whether it's taxes, we are gonna have to have some taxes to pay for municipal side. Now, don't forget that part of it. Do we wanna do an enterprise fund? Do we wanna combine it with bags? That's something this committee's gonna have to
So
decide.
my other thing is if we were going to do bags, what happens if there's some type of bag shortage? I mean, right now chickens stop laying eggs.
Yeah, $7.
That's a true
I
fact.
saw
I
it.
mean,
$7.
watch the news. Tell me what the real deal is. I mean, what happens if there's a bag shortage? Where are we then?
The companies would tell you that there's quite a bit of plastic. That's our
Zero.
problem.
Well,
Blast 'em out.
Yeah, because they're
Could we
selling
get
them.
bags made out of post-consumer plastic?
They are. They
Okay.
actually are made out of, so they're on state contract, and they have to be made from 30%
And
post-consumer
now
plastics.
the cost of the bag will go up.
Yeah.
And as the cost goes up, the price of the bag goes
So
up.
they kind of did their big thing when the gas hit like $5. I don't expect, they're on state contract, so they have to keep a price at a certain level.
Per year.
So I don't think right now our gas has been going down. I think they've already hit it when it hit $5, like they've had that boost. So I'm not expecting another jump over that. I'm not doing that.
Okay,
I think she has something.
hold on. I'm gonna let Kevin go first, and then I'll come over to you, Rachel. Go ahead, Kevin.
All right, yeah, I think this three-prong approach, people are gonna look at it is you're charging me a flat fee, you're raising my taxes, and
Yes.
council needs to transfer this money every year, $350,000. You know, we talk about the insecurity of grant money. What kind of insecurity do we have that all of a sudden the council says, you know, I don't wanna spend $350,000 on trash anymore, I want this money moved over there. Another reason the enterprise fund is the way to go, because once the money is collected in the enterprise fund, it stays for that enterprise.
All right, I'm not gonna have more grievances
Okay,
about what the
sure.
council
No,
does.
no,
We're
no,
down to-
I
Hold
didn't
on,
mean-
all right. Rachel, go ahead.
This is just a comment, in connection to this response about shortage of bags. I've heard of communities, if they've run out of bags, kind of like stickers you can
Yeah.
attach.
Yeah.
That's not a bad idea either. To be honest with you, I know how I think the committee's leaning, but I'm not totally against the bag program. if you could combine it with something else. It is some revenue that we could use to offset the cost. Go ahead, Greg.
So
Steve.
I didn't know we were on that kind of a relationship.
I don't know where that came from.
I was curious.
It's my third meeting.
Remember you had said that a flat fee they can opt out of?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you did, because I think you might be surprised at something I'm going to say a little later. If we used a flat fee to cover, say, 75%, and let's just say we did a bag to cover 25%, does that negate the ability to opt out? Because the bags are now part of the program.
Correct. But at any time.
At any time is a flat
Yeah,
fee?
so I give you the example. Lunenburg is 25% taxes and 75% bag. People still
They can
choose
still
to opt
choose to
out,
opt out.
and instead of paying $150 for their trash bag, they pay $500 to have a private company, just because they want to be
And
different.
just to kind of tell you where I'm at as far as anything touching the taxes. In this town, there's definitely a disproportion for the valuation of a six-family versus the valuation of a single-family. So if you have any taxes included, it's disproportionately hitting single-family. On that, whatever margin that is, it's going in taxes. So if no matter what we do, if you're gonna have the ability to opt out, this is the part you may be surprised at, I actually might be more in favor of a flat fee plus a small bag fee, which is gonna incentivize the folks that live alone and you make one bag of trash every week, by bringing that flat number down and letting them be the kind of masters of their own trash destiny over how many bags they purchase. But I'm personally, I don't know how everybody else feels, I would want to keep taxes the heck out of this program.
So when you say that, I agree with you. I think that somebody that has a 3-decker and they're charging $1,900 a month, why is that house worth less than my house?
Bingo.
But that's an assessor issue. That's not the trash issue. That's something that we should be asking the assessor's office. And I don't mean to pick on you, Rachel. I just,
If you move up billing, she'll have some time.
you want to move up closer?
Yeah, but you know, like this would kind of negate that from affecting
And I
this.
agree with you, and I think that, but I do think we may need a bag to at least.
But that's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
when I did my calculations here, which we'll get to a little later,
I will tell you something
I
else.
warmed up the bags.
I did ask Miss Harnois, how much money do we have left in the royalty fund? And she said that's garbage money.
Right.
She told me 3.9 million. If we have 3.9 million that came from garbage, it's my opinion, it's just, I'm hoping that the council agrees with me, that's money we should keep with garbage.
What are we saving it for, right?
And
Exactly.
can you imagine if we have 3.9 million and we use a little bit of that, we could probably spread this out 3 or 4 years.
Oh, easy.
So that's what I'm looking at. If we could have some kind of a enterprise fund, a bag fee, and use some of the royalty funds, I'm thinking, why not?
Now, is that money for landfill closure,
No,
monitoring?
Landfill is
Landfill
closed.
Done.
It's all done.
No, it's
Landfill is all
Yeah, but you always
done.
have to monitor for
No,
forever.
It's part of the
Casella's
contract, 30
responsible
years.
for,
30 years.
Casella's responsible for.
There's a cut and cap fund that they manage, and yeah, it's
The
separate.
candles are lit.
It's all
is well.
bonded.
So he gave a number, I've never heard that, I've been asking for a number.
I haven't heard
Oh, I'll
that
send,
either.
I'll
so-
send you the email. Go ahead, Anna.
But I thought there was another reason why that money couldn't be used. I'm not sure what it was.
I'm not knowing.
We're looking at you.
I know when, and me and Gus were there for the whole landfill extension agreement.
So it's-
They sat right there at those, and so was Kevin. Kevin was really, he was there before me. That money was supposed to be used any way the town wanted to use it.
Yeah.
That's what they said.
Well, that is true. I mean, and it would mean logically, it does make sense that if it's royalty funds from the landfill, it does make sense to use it for trash
garbage,
relation,
so-
really and stuff, so.
It might be that, it might be worth that.
We spend a
Finite.
lot
It
of
could
money
be
from there.
that
for
seed
other
money that
things.
Kevin was talking about to get the enterprise, to kick the enterprise fund off.
Yeah.
Right.
I hate to use money
Yeah.
that goes away because you're really faking the rate out a little bit to a
I
certain
know there's
extent.
competition between other committees that want to use that money, but
Right.
my opinion, it should stay with garbage. That's my
Yeah, that would make
opinion.
sense, yeah.
Could
Go
I
ahead, Anna.
ask a question about, because you were talking about a flat fee, which I'm really curious about your spreadsheet, I'd love to understand it. But when the original Solid Waste Advisory Committee went through all of these possibilities, there was a statistic that was thrown out that you would expect 10 to 20% to opt out
Okay.
of a flat fee. Do you find that?
It depends on the community. I have used that to make things look conservative, to be like that, but you have residents here that have never paid. So to go from whatever cost you're gonna come up with, I don't care if you find money and you make this $100 program, or if you
Someone's
say
gonna opt out.
everybody has to pay and we're doing $1 a day, it is cheaper than $500 a
Oh,
day.
yeah.
So I don't think of Southbridge residents are gonna go, but when people get funny with the bag, you know, they say, I'll go someplace else, I'll figure out, I'm a heavy user, we got 20 people in the house, I'm gonna get a dumpster.
So you can opt out of the pay-as-you-throw?
You can get any flat fee,
So pay-as-you-throw, you can opt out?
a flat fee.
If there's a
Okay.
flat fee involved in any way, shape, or form,
But I
it gives
want,
them
I
the,
want to point out
That's a law for,
what Irene
Okay.
said last time, that even if you opt out, and I think this is, I thought that was very important, you have to prove that you are getting rid of your garbage by a licensed, legal licensed hauler. You can't just take your garbage and dump it in a dumpster
At
at your
work or
employer's
something, yeah.
place.
Yep.
So I thought that was a good point, and I've never heard that.
yeah.
It's an illegal transfer station. I
Correct.
thought that was
Yeah.
good, so.
So it's because I have had different people say, oh, I want to give that as a perk. I have a dumpster, just bring your trash here. That becomes an illegal transfer station, and I'm not an enforcer, but it is $10,000 per day.
Alright.
You can get charged for that.
Oh, wow.
And it might have gone up. That was a couple of years ago when I
Go
looked
ahead,
at it.
Kevin.
On the opting out, also, we talked about multifamilies. I don't think an apartment, because it's empty, should be opt out. An empty apartment is an economic hole. If we have people living there, they're adding to our economy. The point I'm making is, when an apartment goes empty, if we start with, the landlord comes in and goes to the Board of Health and says, I have an empty apartment, okay, we have to go back to billing and change this. I think initially, it has to be, you have a 4-family house. If you don't want to pay all 4 units, you want to get a dumpster, that's fine, that you're, go through the health department, file your paperwork. But if an apartment is empty, you're gonna be charged for it. There's no opting out if you're a
Right.
commercial property.
I think the
Well,
bags, if
okay.
you do pay-as-you-throw bags, the bags have to go through the landlord.
Yeah,
That way, Dan has the ability to enforce it, because if they don't go through the landlord and they go through the tenant, they'll be running all over town. We're gonna need to
I
hire
don't
somebody
know.
to
I
help
really
it.
don't know how that works. I know
Yeah.
that, I was looking at Waste Zero when they came to our committee. The 3 of us were on an ad hoc committee, and Waste Zero came to us and what their bag program, and correct
That
me
is, that's the company that's on state contract.
correct me if I'm wrong, but they would, what I was reading is that they only charge you for the bag if it's overflowing. Is that how it works? So you don't pay for every bag, just the one that's extra to what you need?
So if you were, but you have a regulation, so you guys have the 64-gallon cart, and you have a regulation that you cannot have an overflow bag.
That's right.
So that is a current regulation that you have in Southbridge.
All right.
So for some other communities, so in East Longmeadow, they started off with everybody could use their own 35-gallon cart. You wanted more, you had an overflow bag, and you paid for that.
I see.
Then they said everybody just
Right.
in a bag, and so then they get the bag.
Okay. Thank you.
on the bag issue,
Go ahead.
I had the thought that an event bag, in other words, I'm a big advocate of flat fee for the volume of toter. That's, there was times where I don't use trash bags because it's a waste of money to throw away something you buy to throw away. But the,
What?
having an event bag, a
Mark
large,
this, and I'll mark this guy's address down.
having an event bag,
That's a fine.
a large event bag. It would especially come in handy for landlords, because we know landlords are not supposed to put cleanouts on the curbside. But I have a feeling there's probably 1 or 2 cleanouts that gets put on curbside. If a landlord's down at Aubuchon's and he sees the town bags, if he's a smart landlord, he's gonna pick up 4 or 5 of them and stuff them behind the seats in his truck, because he knows he's gonna need them sooner or later.
long as he
The
pays.
bag, but the bag will have on it, printed,
Right.
there's town seal,
seal.
and
Yeah.
every rule and regulation in both English and Spanish, and it will have handle ties. You handle tie it, and it'll say on the handle ties are made for inspection. It can be used as a bulk pickup item. A bag, we have 85 pounds. We could have a 85-pound bag, and you call and say, okay, I have my toter, and I've purchased this bag for $5 for a bulk pickup.
So one thing that's going on right now that's a free service that communities have been doing, which has been great, is we have a couple different charities that actually do all the textiles. So if you're doing a clean out, it's pretty much clothes, towels and bedding and things like that. Which is now a banned item. It is also for small things. So if you have mugs and jugs and plates and things like that, all the household items, they will come to your community and pick it up for free. So people can just call and have a pickup, or the town can have a contract with a different vendor and they will supply the bags. So they do. They have these free bags. You just call. They either mail it to your house or they leave it in a special place.
Would that be a good service through the transfer station?
You could do either. It could be, so I have it in both ways. So I have a few different towns that they have a drop-off, a recycling center, and people can bring things there. Or some people are not driving, and then things can be picked up at the curb.
You can call for a pickup. It might have a small fee attached to it for a charity. If we could get a charity involved with the pickups, those funds would help support local charities.
Okay,
Yeah, so that's
sounds good.
so we're working on that, and we were going to talk about separately about multifamily education, landlord education. So
Who pays for
Go
the
ahead,
free
Anna.
stuff?
Well, just to kind of reiterate, we have a town bylaw that says no bag gets put outside the bin,
Yeah, right.
and a bulk pickup does not include a plastic bag.
Right.
So just so you know.
All right,
Mike,
okay, thank you.
Chair, who pays for the free stuff?
What, which part?
If
So-
something's for free, if there's a free bag, who pays for the free bag?
okay, if we're talking about, you can't have a free program here of
Right. But you
if
said if we're gonna give somebody free bags, because the next thing up is gonna be somebody
Yeah.
just say they're low
Okay.
income and they want a free bag, who
Yep.
picks up the tab?
So give you an example. So the town of Worcester has their program. If people are under a certain program, they can go to the, and I have this in other recycling, other communities. If you come to the Board of Health and say, I'm having a situation, here, I'm giving you bags. You go to the senior center, I'm having a situation, here's some free bags. There's different places. If you are getting food stamps, if you're at the food bank, here are some free bags.
Who pays for those free bags?
It's kind of, you can embed it into the system for
I'm
you.
gonna pay for
We
everybody
do.
else's free bags.
We do, exactly. That's what it all comes down to.
Cause I mean, we're like probably 50%
Okay.
low income at this point.
Mark off the free bags.
Oh, it's
Well, I'm
having
just,
that
I'm just questioning it
No,
because we're
I
a
get
lot
it.
of low income.
I get it.
And this question is gonna come up for certain, and it's like, who's paying for it? Oh, anybody that's got a single family home.
And if you have this extra money, like I didn't hear about it, I was hearing that there might be cushion room between a new levy versus what is currently in savings, if that money can kind of be moved over. But if there is trash money, maybe we can bring things down and we can make the whole thing $1. You know, how much was the cup of coffee right there? I think it was like $2.50.
I had a gift card, I wouldn't buy it.
Then you got it as a gift, somebody else bought it.
That ain't my problem.
Okay, Irene, do you have more now, or is that?
I just wanted to keep us on track of the schedule. I just wanted to
Okay.
kind of read this
Very
through real
good.
quick because we kind of,
Can we have copies of that?
yeah, I think I mailed it before. This was in our plan,
Okay,
you know, of just to what we're doing. Like the committee was sharing, we were doing the talking about the RFP in October and moving things forward, talking about different funding operations, working on this survey to be released November, talking more about the RFP. We're right in here. January, which we're in right now. talking about finances and with the town manager and going over what needs to be approved at the town vote. So I think we were kind of talking about that if you're doing it through the enterprise fund and through a fee type of program, then it wouldn't go on the tax, onto a vote. So that's kind of what needs to be done. Next is public education for seniors, of just keeping that up of, you know, we just did the mailer and just saying, there's gonna be a change. So if we just keep on saying, there's gonna be a change, we'd love your feedback. So I'm so glad you're here on the committee, because that's what we need to make sure people are aware, but we need to keep on.
They're not happy, I'll tell you right now, so,
I'm a senior.
point blank.
Well, there's gonna be a change, there's not a bill, there has to be a bill, it's just how.
Well, it's gonna be
Things are gonna make a
changed, but
change.
there's gonna be money that we have to pay in order to have that change.
Yep,
And we're strapped to begin with.
yep,
They're all strapped,
I understand.
just like everybody else,
Yep.
but even more so on Social Security.
February, keep on doing public education to landlords. We're gonna hope for March, we're gonna get the RFP back. We're gonna have, of course, the committee meeting and talking with the Board of Health of what can be accepted. We wanna definitely by that March, April, wanna have everything kind of set here. Continue public education and outreach. And so I think I just wanna go there. I don't wanna go with it for the summer. But we're on track. I just wanna keep on saying a push for senior education and landlord education.
On the citizen information and education, and Anna, where can I find the recycling percentage for curbside pickup for week ending January 7th?
For a particular week, I don't calculate it by the week.
Okay.
I
Where can a
calculate it.
citizen?
You just wanna know what the tonnage is?
No,
Or you wanna know-
I want our citizens to know what the percentage is and how it may fluctuate. I've been talking about this for 10 years. It's important for people to hear. And I checked
Yeah.
Recycle Smart, Southbridge. It should be a very prominent, easy to find number right on a town website that, hey, for the week ending January 7th,
Yeah,
I think this is a good map to show, and it will be definitely better when you even go yellow. That this is great, and you guys are doing wonderful. Okay. This is trash, though, and I want to say is we really started, and I started here in 2000. It was definitely we were saying we wanted to know your recycling rate. How much recyclables, paper and containers and bottles and cans.
Yeah.
This, though, since 2010, we have really been, what's the trash? Because if you are a good waste reduction person, you really don't have that much recyclables. So you've changed, you don't have that many things in the recycling bin because you're not using throwaway stuff. You're using reusable things, so I don't have that many plastic water bottles. I don't have that. My detergent bottle, the detergent is now a sheet. So I don't have a big jug.
Box this big.
So, and you can tell over the, 5 years, 10 years, a bottle, a can, a plastic water bottle has all reduced in size.
Right.
So even though we might, volume-wise, we might be generating a lot of recyclables, a 96-gallon worth of recyclables every other week, it weighs less than it did. So that number, like you said, put it on the top there, it might look further down and we kind of get stagnant at 30%. But the trash number that you guys have a big impact of, keeping the hazardous waste out, getting the bulky to have people change their idea of bulky. It's like, oh, that chair I don't want is now trash. Well, somebody down the road, the charity wants that chair, and somebody, a scout group or somebody else wants to repaint it and then sell it. you actually made an item out of it. So just the 380 pounds per person per household is your recycling pounds per household, which is pretty good. I normally say about 500, but that's if you have a lot of money flowing through. 380. I think that you're not really going to get more than that.
Right, but if I go up to Citizens Forum at Town Council and I say, Southbridge, you recycled 385 pounds of recycling per household. I think it's a more general
Yeah.
number to say, all right, 70% of your trash was trash and 30% was curbside pickup, And I think it's an easier way for the citizen to say, well, geez, we're doing good. You could show a graph like that, but on a graph, you'd be able to show, well, geez, we're doing good at 30%, but 2 weeks ago or 2 months ago, we were at 33. And it will fluctuate, and people, are glad to see that. It's just like the stock market. If we're going up, everybody's happy. If all of a sudden we're going down, maybe there's something within the system that we should be looking at.
I'm gonna let Anna respond.
I think it's a great idea to publicize our recycling rates. I'm with you on that, and I put that on my list. I'm gonna put that up on the website.
Okay.
However, you need to realize that there are seasonal fluctuations, right? So I can put those up monthly. Here's what I sent out to the committee before the meeting tonight for last year's numbers.
Mark, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I know how the trash fluctuated. This ain't rocket science. Utilities, everything went up. I've been eating ramen noodles like it's my part-time job. You know how much those bags weigh that's left over? Nothing. You know what the rest of the town's doing? Same thing. As cost goes up for utilities, people buy less stuff. You ain't buying lobster. You're not filling half a barrel full of lobster. You're done with that. You're not buying steak. You're not buying that. You're buying processed stuff because
All right.
that's how you offset the cost of what's going up.
The only thing that I will say, and I don't mean to pass it off, Kevin, but I would just say that things like that, how much are we recycling? That's really important to you. But I got to tell you, as a person that's I'm also retired. I'm on Social Security. I just want to know how we're going to pay for this. That's all I want to know. I'm not too concerned how the town is doing on recycling. I do know it's important and all, and I know it's very important to you.
I was only relating it to her
Yeah.
bullet point.
Well, there is
All right.
a cost consideration about
That's
that
true,
as well.
yeah.
It costs more to dispose of trash than it does recyclables,
Yeah.
so.
Not true, because you have to rinse out your recyclables. You have to pay for water.
Yep,
Hey,
there goes the water and sewer
I would
bill.
take my water sewer for rinsing out your gallon jug of milk and your thing
Yep.
of beans or whatever else you
Steve,
have.
Your cans.
Steve, isn't it true the more water you use, the less it costs?
It should be.
That's right. That's how it works.
Yeah,
right?
it should be.
And it's the velocity. You put a small amount of water into a jar, you put the cap back on, you use the velocity, and you dump it out quick. I
You
know.
think it works that way? Not for everything that you buy. Trust me, it takes a lot
Bring it
more
over
than
to
that
the-
to get
You
it
have a
out.
friend that has a dog, they'll clean it all up.
Are you
There you
all
go.
done?
I'm all done.
You're all
Yeah.
set?
I'm feeding my dog.
You ever get your dog's head out of
All right, we're gonna move on to agenda item number
Tuna jar,
7.
stuck on the lips.
We're gonna move to agenda number 7 then, review, discuss funding options, including Mr. Gregoire's proposal. I'll let you start, Mr. Gregoire.
Sure, first of all, I know at the last meeting I handed out my idea of what a flat fee could look like. I want everyone to recycle that piece of paper, because I actually found an error in the spreadsheet that wasn't unsubstantial. Based on the amount of parcels and units in town, there was a miscalculation. I did recalculate my numbers, but if we're gonna use anything like this, I would love for someone to check my work for me. It did substantially affect the prices that I came up with. In this model, and I don't mind sharing some and handing them out, it looks like now a single-family home is more like $65 a quarter. And that's based on an escalating scale
Let's see, that's all.
on multifamily homes.
I'll take it.
Quarter is 3 months.
Right, it's still less than $1 a day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's less than-
And I didn't include
yeah, I know.
anything in here about my ideas of what a flat fee could look like. I mean, a bag fee could look like. This is just a flat fee. But still, it's $65 on this model for single families and single condos. I'm sorry. A two-family home could be $141 a quarter. A three-family home could be $228. The numbers get a little sketchy with the larger units like we were discussing before with some of this data may not be perfect. But your four-family-ish could be $326 a quarter, and your six-family, I figured $555 a quarter, which is still really cheap for a six-family home. Again, these numbers will shift around as we get firmer data on how many units per parcel in some of the bigger houses. Rosemead may be included in this big number, in which case they're out. So again, there's some data mining that needs to be done to make these firmer, but this model with a slight escalator that goes up, I think, only $10 per unit. So a single family home, if you're at 65, your two family, that second unit is I'd have to do the math, 76, something like that. It's a small escalator to go up. And, you know, it's just the kind of the model I'm used to working with, but we do see the volumes of trash go up, I think, precipitously per unit in a building. I think you can say that a 2-family or a 3-family makes more than 3 times the trash of a 1-family. Just that's the eyeball test.
So the only thing that I'm looking at your thing, and I didn't do all the numbers and
Sure.
stuff, but I'm not crazy about a graduating scale. I
Okay.
think it should be even for everybody. That's a true flat scale.
And I can
Not,
definitely run
not
these
the
easily.
entire
that way.
house, I mean each unit.
Yep.
So each deck
Right, each deck having the
person
same value.
would have the same
That can be run very easy. This
cost.
is,
I
again,
would think that that would be the way to go.
this is
rather
food
than
for thought, which is
graduate.
great.
Because in my opinion, it's just my opinion, the rest of the committee, to me, you're just penalizing poorer people who live in these 3 deckers, really.
Yeah, and I think I mentioned earlier, in my mind, I was thinking more of for-profit buildings
Yeah.
and the landlords. That's where my mind went. I know exactly what you're talking about, and I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm thinking of like our house is a cost, it's a burden to us, we pay for it. These other homes, they're making money on unit 2, unit 3, and I thought that they could afford a little bit more maybe, but
Deducting all
that's
the
just my opinion.
expenses.
Oh, yeah.
And they are deductible expenses for them, not us.
That's
Sit
true.
down on
I
it.
didn't think of that. Go
So
ahead.
again, just my idea, but again,
Mm-hmm.
if we deduct it, if we lower these numbers a little bit, 10%, 25%, there could be room, if we wanted to do bags, to incentivize people to use much less volumes of trash.
Mhm.
I was against bags at the last meeting, I've been giving it a lot of thought, I'm trying to keep an open mind about it.
Right. Well, I know that I generally agree with what you're saying about single families. However, I know I see a few of them up on Lebanon Hill where when they put out trash days, they're always overflowing.
Always what?
There's cases,
They're
yeah.
always overflowing, and they're all single families.
Yeah.
Drive
That's
down
not- a
Charlton
couple of my
Street,
neighbors
School
are like
Street.
that.
It's not
Oh,
it's not
absolutely.
just.
I'm
I'm
it's not
speaking
just
in
the-
generalities, that's for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
And I think in some cases some of the outskirts of where single families are, and we're both on the outskirts, different outskirts, but where some of them you'll see that they're constantly violating this issue. They do it all the time.
You mean they have another
What did
bag
you-
out there?
They often have another bag out there. Their thing is way stuffed, way too full. It's like it's falling out of it.
So it's the
sitting
snow
on top.
coning that's
Yes.
overflowing.
Yes, exactly. This is not going. And you know and also you got the issue of like Christmases and stuff like that where
Well, I
the
mean,
big
that's a
family holiday
completely different
holiday
issue.
where they
I
got
think.
Right.
To pertain to this,
I guess this sort of thing is just to say, okay, this is what it could look like. Do we
Right.
want to fixate on this model and then
it's not a
we
bad
play
model.
around with the numbers,
I
or we
think
want
that
to
I would rather see a flat,
True.
true flat fee.
right, or do we want to incorporate bags? This is our charge, is to
And I
figure this
think
part
that's
out.
not a bad idea. Go ahead, Mark.
I think that what we have to do is find out from a couple local trash companies, what is the fee if you're gonna get a dumpster for a 6-family, you know, whatever size that is. What's that fee? We need to find out what a single-family trash receptacle, what pickup is on that. Because as long as this number comes in under that, you'd be crazy not to opt out. You'd be throwing money
Crazy
away.
to opt out.
You'd be crazy to opt out,
Right.
because
Exactly.
you'd be throwing money away. So as long as,
As I said at the first meeting, the town council voted for a townwide trash program. So
Yeah.
that's what we're working on.
correct, but if they, what I'm saying
If they
is,
opt out, then they have to prove that they're getting
that's
trash.
easy, but what I'm
Right.
saying is to make this
To make sure
work.
this is
If we
If we
competitive.
really wanted to see
Right.
if this works, let's
Yes.
find out what the cost is from local trash companies for a single-family home toter, a 4-yard dumpster, whatever a multifamily would use. What is that, 4 yards?
I think
I'm
it's
not
4
sure
yards,
what
it's a small,
They
small
could.
list.
a 4-yard
2
dumpster.
yard.
And as
3
long as a 6-family on here or a 4-family on here, if that number comes in under the average cost of a dumpster privately, purchased dumpster service, nobody's gonna opt out.
You have to have
Problem
recycling included in that,
Yes.
because we have to have the.
For commercial haulers as well.
I did before we started, I called up Republic Service,
Okay?
just to ask,
Yeah.
how much do you charge? 108 per quarter, 36-month agreement. You have to sign a 3-month agreement for a 64-gallon trash bag, a trash bin, and a 95-gallon recycle. I don't know if they would use the bins that we have. You might have to purchase those separate. there's a deposit of $50 and a delivery fee of $125. So it came out, and this is just Republic, to $432 per household per year, and rate adjusted after the first year.
Wow.
So you're paying for 36 months, and they'll raise it after the.
So that's easy to meet then. So that's the information that we need in order to make this. So we have to find the number that makes the scale work.
I think he's getting there.
We're close.
He is getting
And
there.
the
Dan, I'm
point,
send this
Hold
to you
on,
and
I'm
check
gonna
on
let
that.
Janice respond first.
Well, I was just gonna say, we did look at those numbers, and it was between $400 and $600 per household per year.
Right, so if we can make
With a
that,
following our program of a 64 gallon for trash and a 95 gallon for recycling.
right, so if we can make that and cover municipal cost in there, it'd still be under what it costs if you, because these people, if you opt out, you would have to go and get your own private trash. So if we go and do the research, find out what the average cost is of the private trash, and as long as that comes under it, no one's opting out. We've solved our problem, and we've covered municipal trash, and we kept it in an enterprise fund. It also allows Dan to go after an absentee landlord instead of running all over
That's
town.
got a lot of value to it in this town.
I'll let Kevin grab your hand up.
I lost my train of thought.
So if you could work this out again,
Do we
take a
have-
look at it again,
do-
and maybe come up with a flatter fee.
Do we have a financial, is
Yeah.
there anybody
Who
that
can-
does finances that can, like, take this and,
So what I'm gonna do is, I
Yeah.
have a model that I use.
Okay.
And I have the numbers, so you're really just dealing with the 200,000 and the $2 million and
Yep.
seeing what,
How
how
to
many
get
parcels
there.
are there and
Yeah.
doing the billing part. So I have on here the cost of the staff and the billing and the salaries and the tons and the pounds and the recyclables and the trash and things like that. And then to come up if you did 20% reduction, or if you did a bag and what the bag cost would be. So
Before the
I will
reduction.
bring this next time fuller, and maybe we can talk about
Sure.
it, so we can include this to that, so that this is the revenue part, if you wanna do.
okay.
It can be a flat, or it can be, I never actually thought of it like you have been doing it, is graduated. But the graduation, when you think of a two-family and up, if they can itemize, if, normally I say if it's on the tax base, they take it off their taxes, you know? But if you're a business, you are taking that off your taxes,
Yes.
which the one family is not.
Right.
Exactly.
No matter what, so they're even getting that flat fee off as well. And, if you have that gradual, maybe that can help you to know which households are in.
May I add something in relation
ahead,
to
Daniel.
what you suggested, having a financial expert or et cetera? We do, when we have hired Michael, a consultant from Weston and Sampson for these purposes. And again, he's currently working with the town manager on this RFP. I can speak with him in relation to that.
Well, I
To
think,
crunch some numbers
Yeah,
and get the
that'd be great.
I
mathematics
think
together.
before we send that to them, we
Sure.
need accurate information from the assessor's office
Yeah, I
as
was gonna
to
ask if you could
how many,
email me what exactly,
Sure.
you may be able to build a report to get
Thank
that.
you.
yeah, because that way the higher up multifamilies, it won't be as skewed on his, it'll be accurate.
Okay, sounds good.
If we do lose some, four-family, five-family, six-family because of the sliding scale, well, we're actually reducing our tonnage, and that unit should probably have been a dumpster right from the beginning, or for whatever reason, if the sliding scale starts to push some of these bigger units, is it really a bad thing for us? And like I said, if we do come up with something that not only works for 5, 6 units, it can use for even more, we could have opt-ins that people say, well, yeah, I'll do the toter and.
We talked about having an opt-in for small businesses, like home
Exactly.
offices and that sort of thing.
I don't think there's no way that a commercial dumpster for a multifamily is gonna come in cheaper than where this is gonna end up. I
Plus,
don't
we
even
want
believe it,
dumpsters all over the
because the
place.
sheer number of,
Well, they'd still be on totes.
I don't wanna
they would be on top, no, I'm saying a six-family. Right now, some have commercial dumpster, 4-yard, whatever it is.
Right.
Some of them in town have 6 toters. Well, the person that's paying for their own trash in that commercial dumpster, if this is $1 cheaper, they're business people. $1 cheaper is $1 cheaper. Add it up, 12 months, it's $12. I mean, that's how you, that's how you get there.
So
To
if
them,
you
it's
could work,
income property.
Correct.
but
So
three
they
of you
can write it off as a
can
tax
work on
also,
it.
not just the businesses.
Right.
and add in what it would, the offset with the bags, and work with her on how we offset, I think that would be good for the next meeting, don't you think? All right,
Can I just ask
Go
one
ahead.
question?
go ahead, Kathy.
You know, you talk about the royalty fund, and you talk about the enterprise funds that can only be used for trash. What's to stop the town council or whomever to say, we have a shortfall somewhere else, so we're gonna take money from that account and put it somewhere else? Because it's been done before in this town.
Yeah, it's been that recently.
That is true, it has been done.
Accounts have been, excuse my French, but raped. And then those departments didn't have that money anymore to do what needed to be done. Is there a protection against?
Well, I would think that an enterprise fund could not be done that way. Water, you can't take the water for anything else, it has to go for water.
Or
Sewer-
we can't vote water
Sewer
into the
did
general
not
fund.
happen, that happened to sewer
Sewer?
years ago.
Well, I don't think it can happen anymore, it's an
Okay,
enterprise
but it
fund.
did happen.
Maybe it went back before it became an enterprise fund, I don't know.
I already,
Okay, that's all, I mean, that's just,
No,
if it's gonna be there, then it needs to be there to be used for what it needs to be used
It's
for,
much more
not for
protected than
someone
the general
else to
fund.
say, well, we have a shortfall over here, so we're gonna take this, I mean, cause then that
It does
puts us
happen.
in another hole.
yeah.
All right, anybody
Yeah,
else?
the stabilization is.
Go ahead, Rachel.
That's what that's for.
Yeah.
No, I just wanted to make one comment that, I come from the community, that the community route, with my
Yeah.
bags, and I find it works really well, and it does encourage recycling.
All right,
Okay.
well, thank you.
How much do you
13
charge?
gallon bags will fit in that 13, really pack it
Really?
in that town bag.
How was that?
Lauren, we have a transfer station,
Yeah.
so we don't have pickup direct, you guys definitely, that was in, multifamily, but, it does work really well.
Maureen, did you want to say something? Hold on.
Go ahead.
I just have two very quick things. Steve said recycle that paper. I would say reuse it first, then recycle it. It's
Touche.
Well,
empty on the
I don't know how you're
back.
gonna reuse it.
Toilet paper.
Reuse
I don't
it.
wanna think about it.
You can use
And
it
if
for
you
toilet
don't
paper,
wanna
thank you.
reuse it, I
It's also known
will,
as
because I
mom
write on all the bags. And also, if you want to model recycling, you have to put a bin, like that one, in all of these offices. There's none in Rice.
All right,
I'm using your tactic, Mike,
okay.
of talking about the rug repeatedly. So I'm going to talk about the recycle bin repeatedly.
On,
Okay. Kevin,
No, you
go
get
ahead.
one.
on the subject of the enterprise fund and how funds go this way or that, even with the overhead, I think, high finance is not my thing. I deal with trash and recycling. But even the enterprise fund has to have some review each year to see how much of this fund is going for our actual trash pickup and how much is going for overhead, because we kind of got the billing thing set up, but we still need people to do this and that. We don't want to see a situation where, we raised $2.5 million.
Don't they do auditing all the time? They do auditing every year.
So the in the enterprise fund, as far as I assume, an enterprise fund cannot be stripped of any funds for anything except for that enterprise.
It's more secure than the general fund, that's for
Right,
sure.
exactly.
For that.
Exactly.
I'm gonna let Ms. Clemens speak.
Oh, thanks. Chief, your point about Warren or in us, I think one of the things that Southbridge has that's unfortunately, we've been raised with free trash.
Yep.
So, going to the bag thing, which I'm against, as I've said, I think the more we can simplify, if we want this to be successful, the more we can simplify it and can keep it the same with the exception of, oh, I gotta pay something now, is this the better it'll be for the community at large, just because they've been trained a certain way. They still have a little ways to go in the training, but, it's just, when you start to to change the whole thing, you know? The cat used to be able to pee there, now you want the cat to pee there, it's a bad thing, you know?
Seamless transition.
All right.
Seamless transition, we've got the bins, we get with a company who's got the bins, you know? It's,
I think another, and to support not doing trash in my community, not trash bags, purchasing them, we have no stores that supply them. And that was initially, it started off, you could buy them at stores.
Yeah.
And the stores all, we're not paying for them, they got kicked off, so now you can only buy them at the transfer station, that's a big complaint.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
All right,
Mike, I-
If, because of your
True.
unique situation with a lot of multi-families, that could be a problem.
all right.
we are unique.
Go ahead.
I got one thing. So that royalty money can be used, if we're gonna, if we get it to the point where it's agreed that it's gonna be used just for trash purposes, if we missed the mark for our first year and had a shortfall, we still wouldn't have to dip into anywhere else because we could use that to cover.
That's what I'm
And that
asking
would
the
be our,
council to
that would be
consider.
our nest egg, and then, you know, obviously, you don't miss the mark twice, you know, the second time we're more prepared, and then that money is this giant cushion, that could be the cushion for us to start our transfer station.
So that's what I'm going to ask the council to consider, and I would ask committee members and residents to.
Everybody makes money around us with a transfer station,
Yeah.
or they at least support employment at the transfer station for a town job.
Right.
Maybe whether it's a retired person or whatnot, whatever it happens there, I've never been, but somebody is supported from it and it's sustainable at least.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not a profit maker, but we're supplying a couple jobs.
All right.
Right.
So are we good for our next meeting?
You're gonna find out more about this royalty, or if we can use it?
I will send you the emails. What it has to do is it has to be, I think the council is gonna have to decide that. I'm gonna ask them to consider it, because that is money that is sorely needed for this.
Is it in like a secure account right now?
It's
It's not in a yearly account?
Well,
Mike's gonna make sure it's in a suitcase.
It's in the-
It's in the royalty fund.
The handcuff around the handle.
It's kind of like a loose structured stabilization fund. We don't have to take a 3/4 vote to do, a 2/3 vote to do it. We haven't tapped it in quite a while, but in the past, we have tapped it for a variety of things that had nothing to do with trash.
I recall one.
I mean,
In my
there
opinion-
used to be a lot more in it, and I think we spent millions out of it. I think that hearing that there was more than $3 million in it actually surprised me. I didn't think we had anywhere
Well,
near
this
that
is
much.
what Karen Harnoy said.
Maybe that was the beginning of it.
It could very well, that's what I'm concerned
You're
about.
looking at the
actually.
the
That's what I'm
beginning and not the
concerned
end.
about.
The way I look at it,
I thought it was this.
in the 10 years that landfill was up
It's like
there,
that. I'm
I
definitely
don't
the
remember the
optimist.
funds ever actually benefiting the residents directly. I know they used it to offset the budget. I
Yeah.
know they used it for monitoring the landfill. They used
some
it for
projects, but yeah.
pensions, they used it for balancing the budget, but I never saw anything of it going directly to the residents, so that's what I'm gonna ask the council to at least.
There may be something coming that's gonna have a shortfall that people may be looking.
It could very well be.
Well, that's.
So I would agree with you
Nice.
in asking sooner than later before, you know, that comes up and somebody's looking for money.
Yeah,
Okay.
Because the budget is around the corner.
write it in stone. Because,
I just,
Go ahead,
I
Ed.
just wanna say, except free trash for the residents for 20 years.
Oh,
I just wanna
Well,
underline
it
that.
wasn't, it was free, but
So
it really
that's-
wasn't free because it came out of the money that we were receiving from Casella. That and the road. We reduced our royalty payments in order to pay for all these things.
Right, but I'm saying to the residents, that was a benefit to the residents for 20 years. I just-
All right.
there has to be a cost to the resident.
I-
Good-
the gravy train's over.
Yeah.
I see your point, but if not for that, we would have gotten more
with the
money
caboose.
from Casella. And we would have had to pay for our trash these last, not 20 years, by the way, it only lasted 10.
If not
Because
for
they
taking
filled-
in other people's trash.
That's right.
So
Right,
we
I mean,
don't-
residents haven't paid, have never paid for trash.
But if they had to pay to get rid of it,
Pay for trash, pay for it through our taxes.
All right, so we're all
Well,
set?
no,
You
the
guys are gonna
landfill
work
is
on that?
sorry.
working out those numbers, adding maybe a
Yeah.
bag in
I'll
there.
try to get some information from Rachel and
Yeah.
we can talk.
Sounds good. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Just before you do.
Oh,
can
do we have
you
another
send your
meeting?
Can you send your numbers?
Oh, and that's what I was gonna
before the
update
next
them.
meeting?
Thank you.
That's what
Thank you
we're
very
gonna
much.
update them, so we'd have them before. So
Okay.
my goal is that before next meeting, that you guys would have our updated
What
numbers.
is the next meeting?
Okay, but
I
before
don't
we
know.
adjourn, our next meeting date.
It's not there.
Next meeting date.
Calendars.
I don't have my calendar with me.
More frequently than
We're doing every 2 weeks right now?
No,
Hey, are we doing 2 weeks?
Do you wanna
I mean,
do,
this is,
That's what you had said at the last meeting. That would be the 9th.
Mike doesn't need a calendar, he said he's retired. We just
I wish I could say I was,
you lose what track of day it is yet? You wanna do the 9th? That happens. Can everybody do the 9th?
but I can't make the 2nd.
The 9th then?
Ninth.
please.
okay. Do you want to do 9th and 6th?
6 o'clock?
14th every year.
What is Valentine's Day? Did you actually ask that
You asked
question?
on film when Valentine's Day is.
Ever the optimist.
I don't want to be in
I know I am. I'm always the optimist. But financials, I always go conservative. I go very conservative with
Motion
financials.
adjourned?
I got,
Even
let's do
being
it.
conservative, but I mean,